Hi, my name is Aryan Parkayasta and this is my midterm submission for SPMA 3P82. This is part 1. So basically I'll be reading out all the questions and then following them by reading out my answers that I wrote down. So question 1, based on what was discussed in lecture, define personal branding and then explain the steps to build your own personal brand. So as discussed in lecture, personal branding refers to what you show others. It's the conscious effort you take to build a brand that showcases qualities about yourself. It is a way of showcasing your vision, mission, values, and image. It's essentially what you want people to see about yourself. However, it is different from reputation because reputation refers to what others think of you. It is essentially others' opinion about you rather than you taking an effort to creating a brand or image or even an opinion about yourself. The steps needed to build your own personal brand were mentioned in Lindy de Klerk's presentation. So I've basically just taken it from there and explained it in my own words. And the steps mentioned were split into 5 different steps. So the first step was self-reflection. So understanding yourself is probably the most important part of building your brand because without knowing yourself, you won't be able to know what characteristics you excel at, what about you is special compared to other people. So really knowing yourself is a great way to actually build a brand about yourself because without knowing yourself, you wouldn't know what to build. Then the second one was consider feedback from others. So without being able to take constructive feedback or constructive criticism, you will never be able to actually grow and improve on other aspects of yourself and your brand. Because in this case, your personal brand is essentially yourself. And if you can't improve upon yourself, work on yourself, then you'll never actually be able to grow your brand, which is why being able to take feedback from other people is really, really important. Evaluate your skills and expertise. So after being able to work and improve on your skills, actually understanding what skills you have is very important in building a brand and communicating that brand well. Because since it's your personal brand, what you can do is essentially your product. So knowing what your skills and expertise are is a really good step in knowing what your brand stands for because it's about what you can do as a person. Then analyze your accomplishments. It's extremely important to analyze your accomplishments and know how to improve in order to grow your brand. So let's say you've done something really good and you've gotten a victory. Analyzing what you've done, what you could do better, what you did well is a great way in persevering, pushing yourself, being better for the next project that you do. So it's a really good step as well. And then lastly, knowing your target audience. So in order to build a brand, knowing your audience is a key step, whether it's your personal brand or just a company as well. You'll never be able to please everyone or be on everyone's good side. So knowing your audience allows you to better customize your brand and be able to target the right audience because in Dr. Leclerc's or in Lindy Leclerc's lecture, she mentioned that you can't please everybody. We did a Kahoot and there was a wrong answer when you said everybody is your target audience because when you specify one target, then you know what your goal is and what you're working towards. So it's a really important step as well. Then question 2, in what way were resumes and cover letters compared to a data report? What does it mean? So the answer is in the presentation by Laura Leach, she used the line, think of your resume as the data and your cover letter as a report that explains the data. So from what I understood, and I tried to explain it as much as I can in my words, your resume can be compared to a data report because the resume is where all your information regarding your experiences is. That is the data that is provided in a resume. So the resume itself is the data, and then a cover letter is where it all comes into a report. So it is a report of the data provided in your resume. It's a letter that explains the experiences further and acts as a data report where it explains the data. In this case, the resume. In this case, it explains the resume in further detail. So it's explaining more on the data, which is why I see the cover letter as a data report. Then for question 3, how do you become a valuable resource and list 6 ways and then pick one to explain in more detail? So in order to become a more valuable resource, you need to become a well-rounded individual, both personally and professionally. Being able to be a well-rounded individual allows you to become a truly invaluable resource. So 6 ways mentioned, these are all from the lecture slides as well, and I've explained them in my own words. So the 6 ways mentioned were, one was emotional intelligence, the second was goal-driven, the third was personal branding, fourth was decision-making, the fifth was performance, and the sixth is fundamentals, and I've chosen to explain fundamentals. So this is a very important step, as in order to be an exceptional individual, both professionally and personally, ensuring that your fundamentals are properly known and practiced is extremely important. For anything, knowing and practicing the fundamentals are extremely important because they act as the building blocks for any further skills you want to learn and allow us to further excel in any skill. So for example, if you want to learn how to write a story, you need to learn how to write the alphabets. So the better you learn how to use your alphabets, the better your story or your essay would turn out. That's just a small example I thought of because growing up as an athlete, everybody knows that your fundamentals are extremely important in terms of basketball, because that's a sport I played growing up. Not knowing how to dribble the ball or not knowing how to make a simple layup will not allow you to go to the next step. So actually learning how to dribble the ball, how do you make a pass, how do you do a crossover, stuff like that. Building those fundamentals allows you to become a better player and learn more advanced skills. And I've used that theory or idea in my answer here because I like to translate stuff I learn in sports in my professional career just because it's an easier way for me to understand, and a lot of them overlap as well. So definitely fundamentals is a really, really important step. Then question 4, list 5 pros of working in the sport industry and provide an example of each. I found this in our lecture slides and I thought I'd explain them in my own words. So 5 pros of working in the industry are exposure to some great memorable moments. So working in sport allows you to be in a position where you're able to experience some truly amazing moments. An example could be imagining that you worked for the Toronto Raptors during their championship run when they had Kawhi Leonard. Sad he's not there anymore. And you got to work during the final game when Kawhi made that game-winning shot. You got to experience that memorable moment, that clutch shot that he took in person. So that's a huge advantage in working in sport. It can be for any sport, any memorable moment, because you worked there, you got to experience it in the flesh. Then the second one is passion and excitement. So working in sport allows you to share your passion and excitement of the sport in various ways. It allows you to provide your skills for a sport and allows you to share that excitement with others, as well as use your passion to work for sports and use your skills. A personal example I have is I love basketball and I got to volunteer for the Niagara River Lions in the summer, and I loved that job. I loved working behind the scenes because watching sports and watching basketball games is so fun, and doing my best to make sure everybody else enjoys and has fun while watching the game was also really cool and it was really exciting, and I genuinely had a passion for it, so it worked out hand in hand as well. Then the third one is having a positive impact on others. So having the opportunity to work in sport allows you to work on providing an experience for others to enjoy. The work you do behind the scenes in sport allows you to create an amazing experience for all the viewers to enjoy, whether it be in the marketing aspect or even the spectator experience. You play a very vital role in what the people see and what they experience. When I got to volunteer for the World Rowing Championship that happened, I had to work spectator experience, and it's a very, very delicate operation because they take a huge responsibility and they really try to make sure that everybody attending the games and the sport has a really good time. And it also has a really positive impact when you do it well. It's a really good feeling. Then the fourth one was team environment. So working in sport is always a team environment. You'll usually end up working with a team and work with multiple people together. The sport itself is usually always about teamwork, and working in sport is also the same, as each department also works with a team to accomplish their goals. So if you're in the marketing team, we always say team because you'll always be working with another group of people. And I feel like that's a huge advantage because I personally love working with other people. It makes jobs easier. It also works in sharing ideas. And there's a huge advantage in working with more people rather than working alone. Then the last one is perks. In quotations. So working in sport provides you with certain perks such as free tickets, having the opportunity to meet various sports celebrities, as well as making our way back to the first point I made, where you get to experience some really memorable moments. And as sports fans, that's always a huge perk because you get to do all of these things. You get free stuff like that. So that's also a huge advantage. Then question 5 is explain the concepts of sport internships and provide a definition and examples of what this can look like. So my definition of a sport internship is the opportunity to work in a professional setting and gain meaningful and valuable knowledge that will help individuals be better prepared for when they begin working in an organization full time. So, an internship could be set up in a way where the individual is given a supervisor or a mentor who's responsible for overseeing the individual and their tasks. While in an internship, the individual would be given tasks that would be overseen by their supervisor. For example, I got to do a field course that I mentioned where I was part of the events team for the World Rowing Championship, and I was given tasks such as helping with spectator experience and all of the other things, while having a supervisor look over my work to make sure that I do everything correctly and basically mentor me into learning these new skills that I was doing. An internship is essentially a way of getting your foot in the door and allows you to get experience and not just throw you in the deep end. Instead, it builds you up and teaches you the necessary skills to become a great employee so that when you do end up working in an organization, you are better prepared. An internship is probably the backbone of sport management. Every student wants to get an internship because, if I'm being honest, before working for World Rowing Championship, I had no idea what goes behind spectator experience or an events team at that such large scale. So actually being able to work there and seeing the behind the scenes was a great experience, as even if it wasn't an internship but a volunteer opportunity. They've all taught me different things that I feel confident enough when I do an internship. I know enough to actually stand my own ground and not drag down the organization when I'm actually working there. So that's what my definition and examples of internships would be. Then the last question is, how do you display professionalism in the sport workplace? So as mentioned in the lecture by Shannon McCarter, each organization has professional standards, and in each organization standards can vary, but it's still important to be yourself and have that individuality. But I wanted to bring a point, but Shannon mentioned to be smart about it. So you still want to present yourself professionally while showing aspects of yourself, and I truly believe that. Professionalism does not need to end in the workplace. It's important to be professional both in public and in private as well. In terms of displaying your professionalism, dressing appropriately is extremely important. Displaying your professionalism is a key factor in the workplace, and a lot of people's first impressions come from the way you dress. It is arguably the most important aspect of professionalism, and that is definitely how I also display it. Before I started working my first job on campus, I used to wear joggers and sweatpants all the time, and then I finally got a job and I had to start wearing dress pants or wear like actual trousers and wear normal tops and not just hoodies every day. So because that is genuinely the first thing people see is the way you dress and the way you act. And then the way I like to display professionalism in work is when I'm clocked in, I'm working and I have supervisors, and when I'm clocked out, then they're friends. They're still my supervisors, but I don't have to be as professional or as serious. But when I'm doing my work, I know that's what I have to do, and I put my professional life and my personal life separate, or I try my best to put them separate, because when I'm working in the office, that's where I'm doing all of my work. I have supervisors. I'll treat them with respect. I'm gonna ask them questions, treat them properly, and then when I'm off the clock and I'm with my friends who work with me, then we're just friends. And if I see my supervisors, I crack a few jokes here and there, but that professionalism and that respect is still there, which I like to maintain, and I believe that is also really, really important, because the way you act in the office shows it's a huge glimpse into what your character would be like. So I like to be calm and chill, but in a very professional setting where I'm not offending anyone, or I don't seem like I'm not taking my job too seriously, because a lot of people tend to cross that line, and I think it's very, very important that you don't. But thank you so much for listening to my midterm part 1. I hope the answers were good, and thank you.